Welcome to my channel. I know what you're thinking. Is that candle the white? No, it's me, Alex. What's up? Hi. It's 4 in the morning right now. I know. I can't sleep, but it doesn't matter anyway because I'm very much awake. I wanted to make a very special video. I'm not wearing this hat for nothing. It's a wonderful, wonderful morning because this video celebrates 1,000 subscribers on this channel. And that is such a surprise to me because I genuinely thought I was gonna come on the internet and get bullied. I thought I was gonna be bullied. Very much like, I don't know, being caught, like reading in the closet as a kid, and a bully being like, nerd. You know, I thought it was gonna be like that. I thought I was gonna be called a nerd. But it's been a very positive experience, and I have a lot of very positive engagement, and I feel like complexity has met complexity, and there's a similarity that's really nice. So I like being on the internet. Faith in humanity has been restored, so I'm very thankful for everybody. I will say too, to be honest, I have been terrified of channel growth, if that makes sense. Like, it's not in my control, and I've been very lucky to have grown very slowly because I feel like I can get to know people and I'm not alienated, by talking to anybody here. So yeah, I've been terrified if the algorithm picks me up and flings me, to the vast corners of the internet, that I'm gonna get bullied. But my worries are for nothing because I'm having a blast on YouTube. Yeah, I'm having a blast, so it's great. I have a document. I have my computer up because I wanted to do a very special Q&A, more of a philosophical bent, but I wanted to say first, hold on, I'm drinking a canned coffee. It's the worst idea. Somebody bought me a coffee on the website Coffee, and they left me a comment which made my entire day. I did not get an email notification about this. I just randomly checked, and there it was, sitting there, waiting for me. The person said that they love my videos, which is so nice, and that they are also from the South and like to read and think deeply, so we're similar. They said they're a Scorpio too, which I love Scorpios. My best friends of all time, fun fact, have been Scorpios. So anyway, and they ended their comments by saying, "Look the other way if you see me with an ASMR channel with my deep fried thoughts." And that made me so happy. And I will not look the other way. I will be subscribing and watching every minute of every day because I love ASMR. I love all kinds of ASMR. Coexist. And also because YouTube is incredible. This is not the King's Royal Academy of Geniuses, you know. This is the internet. This is YouTube. It's like the X-Men school if your superpower was like chewing with an open mouth chewing, or trying on Shein. Literally, open enrollment. Come on in. Make a YouTube. And there are so many ways to think and to share your thoughts. There's so many different styles. There's infinite room at the table. Please, for the love of God, pull up and share your thoughts. I'm gonna try and talk about it later in this video, but I think critical thinking, flexibility, openness, creativity, I think, you know, X-Men jokes aside, is one of the most powerful tools that you can have. And it's something that I think everybody is going to have to be equipped with the world that we're moving into. I'm not going to get too much into that, but I feel like, don't you feel like, for the level of visual culture that we live in, so visual, like never before in our human history have we ever engaged visually like this, to this degree. And now we have AI making fake American Idol clips on Facebook. Like, I think we're all gonna have to sharpen this brain up. And I think flexibility, openness, critical thought, bring it to YouTube. So I just wanted to thank this person who bought me a coffee for making my whole day. When I saw it, I woke my girlfriend up and I was like, black. And I want to thank everybody here on the internet who is nice to me, because the internet being anonymous is a real kind of myth, I feel like, anyway. I feel like everyone's very accessible. Okay, so I have my document pulled up. This video might be a long one. But we got our candle. We got some music. I got my canned coffee. So, I'm going to go through these questions. They range from highly philosophical to highly personal. And I'm going to answer all of them. Thank you so much for asking me questions. And thank you for being here today. Let's get started on these questions. Okay, I moved my candle. The first question is, do you have favorite ASMR artists you watch? Oh yeah. Yes, I have a playlist on my playlist tab on my channel. If you're watching this as a video, I'm pulling it up on my screen. If you're listening to this as audio, I'm about to say. But I watch ASMR constantly, and a huge shout out to ASMR Paperback Boy. You already know. Charlie is the best. Has an incredibly relaxing presence and voice, and I love his content, and you will love it too. I've got so many people in here. I like channels of all types. Franta Jansky is incredible. Is an incredibly unique, funny, seemingly very kind person who I like to watch. JSMR, I feel like, I like all kinds of voices, and JSMR just has a really, really, I don't know, does it for me, like very calming. Tony Bomboni got me through some dark stuff. It's because he's been making ASMR for forever and is like a true original. If you scroll down on this playlist, you will see so many that I've watched a million billion times. Quiet Guy ASMR, shout out, because her voice is also very, very relaxing. Hello. There's all kinds of people here making ASMR that are incredible, and I put them on this playlist when I remember. I need to update this, but these are my favorite ASMR artists. Next question. I'm wondering what you do for a living, and if you went to university, and if so, what you studied. Also, because I'm thinking a lot about art and aesthetics these days, what do you think beauty is? And do you think art is about beauty or about something else? Love your videos, by the way. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for your question. I love this question. What I do for a living. I work at a university as administration, and I work remotely, so the university is in the US. I help students maintain progress in their degrees, so I make sure they hit certain milestones. I did go to university. I have a bachelor's degree in radio, television, and film, and I have a master's degree in experimental animation. And in both of those, I was very interested in making media, but also teaching. And I've taught, I taught for like 6 years before I moved from teaching to like school administration. But I used to teach like little kids. I used to teach middle school, high school, and adults. So I've taught every age, and now at the college level I'm doing admin. Yeah. So also because I love education. I meant to say that. I'm really big on education. Okay. Because I'm thinking a lot about art and aesthetics these days. What do you think beauty is? And do you think art is about beauty or something else? I have an answer for you. I think you're gonna like it. Because it's very strict. I have a very strict answer. And because it's very concise, it's very easy to disagree with. So it almost invites you to agree or be like, no. So my belief, firm belief about art and beauty is that art is the result of an art-making process. It's purely the result of a process. And that there are many art-making processes that are defined by all kinds of things, culture mainly, or biology, but that some processes are very straightforward and some are very controversial. So for example, painting, the art making process to make a painting is you get paint, and you can paint using different techniques on a canvas, and the result is a painting, which is art. And it can be ugly, or it can be pretty, it can be, its value is put on it after and is defined by the culture too, or by the individual looking at it. But some art processes are very controversial, and I think probably the biggest one that I can think of is conceptual art, or what I call staging. I don't think that's a real term. I just call it that. We're talking banana taped to a wall. The banana taped to a wall, yeah. to me, that's art because it went through the art making process of conceptual arts, and objects or objects that already exist have been restaged based on some idea or theory or emotion, and then presented in an art making space or a gallery or institution to be viewed, recontextualized to some aim. And I think that's an art making process. So the result is art. And that art then is biological, it's cultural, it can be based on industry and capitalism and all kinds of things. Beauty is based on something a lot older and a bit more esoteric and can be applied to art, but also life in general. And so is a bit more like this ancient current or feeling state that exists in the world, separate from art. And that art can be beautiful, but it can be ugly. They're two separate things. So I define a lot of things in life very strictly based on the process. That's my answer. I think it's straightforward. I hope so. And I've met people who really disagree with me, which I love. So I'm wondering how you feel about it and how you define art or beauty, if you think they're related or not. Thank you so much for your question. I loved this question. The next question is, do you have any plans to go further with school, like an advanced degree? Maybe. I've thought a lot about a PhD because I'm an addict for institutional learning. I really am. But at the same time, to be a PhD means that I would develop a research topic in my field. And my field would be more like visual anthropology, because I'm mostly concerned with how human beings, how our biology, how our lived experience is altered by the consumption of certain kinds of images and that relationship. So I can take that interest and I can multiply it by 1,000 in all these different ways, and I can make videos about it and write about it, or I can narrow down and specialize and spend years researching one facet of that Rubik's Cube, like one color of that Rubik's Cube. And I don't know if I want to specialize in that way, and so I'm thinking about it. Right now, my girlfriend is getting her master's degree. I have mine. And then after that, we'll talk. Because these degrees are no joke. Like, they move you around the country, or in my case, they moved us to England. And they take years of your life. So they're major lifestyle choices. So I don't know. Maybe. Thank you so much for your question also. I keep wanting to say that because I feel joy that people ask me questions. Question number 4 is a big one. Do you have a life goal or dream? Thank you so much for answering my question. Thank you for asking the question. I appreciate it. I do have a life goal and a dream. I think when I was teaching across all ages and just being an introspective person, kind of keeping tabs on myself, I've just realized how we take on so many burdens as we, like, starting young and just getting older and older, where there's a kind of neuroticism about the self and so many worries about ourselves. And I think my life's goal and dream is to, in my own way, help people engage with ideas and to have myself engage with ideas and the world around us, while that, in a way, maybe that puts that neuroticism in suspension, like provides some relief. Like, I want to help myself and other people establish a kind of calm curiosity about the world and kind of make those connections that are so important and kind of transcend this world that we've made for ourselves, that really makes it easy to become down on yourself or feel like you're not fitting in, because I believe what we've done is highly specific and not necessarily determined by biology. You know what I mean? Like, being in school 8 hours a day is a choice that we've made as human beings. It's not necessarily the only choice you can make as a society. And so I would love to leave behind videos like this, and I want to start an essay channel that's non-ASMR that does the same thing. And if I can die having left behind a body of work where I'm engaging with the world around me and being nice to myself and helping other people do the same, that's great. That would be perfect. That's something I found rewarding about being a teacher, and I miss about being a teacher. I really do. So that's the answer to that, and thank you for that question. Question number 5. Will you keep tattooing? So, okay, I started to answer this, but I realized I need to. This is a great question. It makes me realize that it's a hard one to answer, because pretty much what happened was that I was a teacher and I was going to school, and I graduated with my master's, and I faced a choice about, okay, I love teaching. Do I want to teach at a college level? Do I want to teach kids, like, in public school? Or I have an animation degree and I'm teaching art and animation, but before I go down that road, do I actually want to just work in the industry, like the animation industry, which was in California, where I was. And then, as I was in that stage of my life, that's when I had the stroke. I'd been graduated for a few months, and I had a stroke. And essentially, it completely changed my life and my brain. So, after the stroke, and I had regained a lot of my movement, and I was back home, I went back to work as a teacher, and it wasn't the same. I still loved teaching, but my body didn't want to be there anymore. I used to be the type of person, I could get up in the morning, chug a coffee, get in my car, go to the school early, break of dawn, teach the kids. The kids are running around, so they're screaming. I'm sit down, you do your work. And then at the end of the day, exhausted, pick up the classroom, wipe my hands of it, and go home and be off work and be great. And I had that stamina. I didn't get overstimulated. I was able to be a working person in the world. And then the stroke happened, and everything was too loud. I just wanted to go home. I wanted to be at home. I wanted to be in my bed. I wanted to be with my girlfriend. was tired. And so I started learning how to tattoo, and I tattooed people, and I found that it gave me a similar sense of satisfaction. I got to work at home. I tattooed out of my home, and I was drawing more, and I was good at it. I was learning how to tattoo. I tattooed my whole leg, but I was learning, and I really felt like, oh, I could do this forever. I could do this forever. But my girlfriend got into school, and we packed it all up and we moved over here. And I decided that I wouldn't tattoo here. During my time tattooing, I phased out being a teacher, and I phased in full-time, more admin work. So instead of being in the classroom, I got this job where I could work from home. It was administration, and so my body was relaxed. My brain was relaxed, and I got to, instead of being overwhelmed, it allowed me to take like 5 steps back and do physical therapy, to challenge my body, to exercise, to meditate, to eat different, to sleep in longer instead of getting up really early to go to a school or staying up late to do after school. It was just better for me to move to admin, and then tattooing I've stopped because we're in England. And so now that I'm in England and I've got these 2 years, I'm working my job, I'm not tattooing, and my biggest outlet is these videos. And I kind of think, instead of tattooing for 2 years, I'm just gonna make stuff for YouTube and see what happens. And I have the essay channel I want to start. So that is the really long answer to say, will you keep tattooing? But I think it helps paint a picture of like what tattooing was doing for me, and what I'm doing instead. So thank you so much for your question. This is about to be such a long video. I knew it. I hope that you're doing well, and that you can put this on in the background while you're doing work, or avoiding work, or reading, or doing whatever you're doing. I am on question number 6. This question asks, what is something you wish you would have known when you were younger? I wish I would have known that life is not linear necessarily, or been more prepared for the ups and downs. Like, I think the narrative is that a cultural narrative a lot of us grew up with is that you start off young and healthy, and then you get older and your health declines, and then you pass on. But I had a stroke at 27, and I had to learn how to walk at 27. And I've met so many people who've got all kinds of things. They've got messed up knees and autoimmune, and it's stuff that we all live with. And health is up and down, and we can be an active participant in healing and all kinds of things. It's like a loop-de-loop. It isn't linear. Same thing, like, you think you're gonna go to school, and then you get the job for the thing you went to school with, and then you have a family, and then you retire. And a lot of the times it's not that simple. It's just a crazy roller coaster. And I wish I would have known that when I was younger and prepared a little bit, because then being thrown off track might have not been so alarming, I guess. So thank you for your question. someone else asks, do you have a favorite artist? And I took that to mean like more traditional fine art. And so I do. I really like book illustrations and illustration. And I like printmaking. So my favorite artists, I'll put them on the screen if you're watching this. But I like Arthur Rackham. Is that how you pronounce his last name? The illustrations of Arthur Rackham. Edward Gorey, of course. And then I really like Brett L. Hellquist. Is that his name? He did the illustrations for a series of unfortunate events. His illustrations really just got my imagination going as a kid. And I also like William Blake. Funny enough, also did illustration. How do you pronounce his name? Albrecht Dürer? Famous. Probably the most famous person on this list. And then Jonathan Viner is a contemporary artist. I pretty much like anything that strokes the dark fantastical part of my brain. Also, all of these are men. I don't know what that means. It just is. I don't know why. But those are my favorite artists. Okay. How did you and your girlfriend meet? Isn't the next question. We met at school. We went to the same college and studied the same thing. And I saw her around and I liked her. But then COVID happened and we had to stay at home. So we stopped going to school. And that's actually when we started talking, is COVID. And our first date was a social distance walk with masks in the park. Quite the thing of the times. It felt like very Edwardian. We like strolled on opposite sides of the sidewalk. This was like right. It was during COVID. We were terrified of everything. And yeah, that's when we started dating. It was actually outside of school. But she's really great. She's super smart. She's really into computers and technology and like the esoteric nature of technology. She's very scholarly. We joke that I'm very philosophical, like broad strokes philosophical, and she's very like scholarly. So we complement each other. Thank you for your question. Okay, someone else says, I watched your video on good versus bad relationships and wonder how you feel about attachment styles and how that might impact making connections with others. Thank you for that. I really am interested in attachment styles. They helped me. I took one of those online quizzes, like you do, and I got anxious attachment. And I think that's true. I read about it. I got that book attached. So how I feel about them and how that might impact making connections with others. I like them. I think they're helpful. Something about attachment styles that I've learned through experience is that the person that you are dating or seeing or just having any relationship with, even platonic, will bring out parts of yourself. And sometimes a relationship can make you unhealthy or display and feel things that are anxious or avoidance. And sometimes a relationship can be corrective and it can make you feel safe and it can shift you from like anxious attachment into secure. And so I think it's important not to view attachment styles as like a sentence handed down that like is going to determine all your interactions forever, and that you have to do all this work on yourself alone, you can heal a lot of that in a corrective relationship. I think if you've got good communication, a healthy amount of accountability, and a partner who is also good at communication, and you can build a foundation of trust. So that's what I think about them. Yeah, I think they're important but not permanent, and they fluctuate depending on who you are with and what's going on. So thank you. The next question, which I stole from a comment, says, I was curious if you've done any looking into psychedelics and their impacts on neuroplasticity. Thank you for letting me steal this question from a comment and putting it in this video. But yes, I have. And I can't be too explicit in this video because it's YouTube. I don't know how much YouTube babysits people, but I try and be careful anyway. But I've done some because of the stroke, and I'm interested in neuroplasticity. I found there's all the research that goes into it, which is incredibly fascinating. I found that they introduced a sense of joy back into my life that I haven't had since I was a child, and it's a really specific. It makes me feel like how can I say this? I looked out the window at the world around me, and you just feel that sense of color. You know when you're a kid and everything feels so visceral? I think your brain is literally forming. You're having all this novelty, and everything feels so real. Like Christmas feels so real. All the colors outside feel so saturated. And there's joy, and then there's these more ambiguous moods, but everything feels so visceral. Psychedelics really helped me get back in touch with that, because everything was so vivid and interesting, and it helped me reconnect with those emotions after I had the stroke, that I think have to have an effect on neuroplasticity, because they kind of resituate your ego in a really pleasant way in small amounts. I've never done a very large amount. I'm a little scared of that because of neuroplasticity, actually. I think you gotta be careful when you do things that alter your brain in any way, because it's so fragile. And I think the power of images is very real, as I've talked about. So you want to be careful what type of images you're exposing yourself to. And on some of this stuff, you don't get to control that. So, but I stand by them, especially in small amounts that are controlled with a lot of space in between those small amounts. I think it's really good. So thank you for your question. Thank you for letting me steal that question. Okay. The next question. What are your other hobbies besides ASMR? Do you play video games? Thank you for this question. I have a lot of hobbies besides ASMR. I read a lot of books. I study. I like to go for walks, and I do play video games, but I'm very strict with myself with video games, because I spent I think an entire summer once playing Stardew Valley. Loved it, but also I think I can only give it one summer. So I do play video games, but I'm very strict with myself. I love Silent Hill. That's my favorite video games of all time, is Silent Hill. I like Animal Crossing. I did join the wave of Animal Crossing during the COVID lockdowns. I was right there. I like Zelda, and I like Resident Evil. Although they scare me too much in a way that Silent Hill doesn't. I don't know how to explain it. Resident Evil really scares me. And then I love computer games. So I play that game. What's it called? Unpacking. I love that game. You just unpack boxes, but there's a narrative that's implicit because of the things you're unpacking. And you can kind of learn a lot about the protagonist or you from unpacking the boxes. There's so many. Firewatch. I played The Vanishing of Ethan Carter. It's a fantastic game. On the computer. I've tried Cuphead. Sucked at it, but it's really fun. So I love computer games. Stardew Valley. I will waste my life on Stardew Valley if I'm allowed. I download it like 2 times a year at this point and only let myself play like 2 times a year. So I love video games and I wish I could play more, but I do not. Only when I'm really down. Okay, thank you so much for that question. Oh boy, the next one is amazing and I'm gonna need a coffee drink for it. Is it? Oh, do you hear that? That's the first train of the day. Do you hear that sound? The train has woken up for the day. That's interesting. What time is it? Early. Okay. The next question. My question is how you work within injustice and unjust systems. Is it something you think about much? Do you retract yourself and focus internally? That's a very interesting question. Thank you so much. I love that question. Yes, I think about that a lot. I think, well, I'll say this. Having the stroke was my first time feeling injustice. Feeling it. I'd been aware of it before, and in college is when I started moving away from the narrative of, Republicans bad, Democrats good. Like, I was an atheist. I had this really black and white sense of like, evangelicism is terrible. And just like I got really into this categorizational thinking about injustice. And then in college, I started gravitating over to a different way of thinking, which is now more common, which is systematic injustice. So instead of saying, Republicans bad, Democrats good, it's kind of putting aside those labels and in like a critical theory way, looking at underlying systems. So that was like an intellectual shift. The stroke was the first time that I felt viscerally my life pivot in a direction that was kind of undeniable, where I had just had something happen to me that I would die from if not for medical intervention. And I had a GoFundMe. And if it was not for mutual aid or my community, I don't know what would have happened to me. There was literally a talk, I think. I won't get too stressful in this video. But essentially, there was a suggestion that I could go to a nursing home. I was in the hospital. So this is kind of like, that was the American healthcare system's answer. Is that maybe I could go to a nursing home. I was 27. Just for somebody to like help care for me while I was healing. And we put up a GoFundMe. And my whole community raised money for me so that I could go to real physical therapy. You don't get it for free. It's America. You have to pay for it. And I think we raised like $10,000 for me. And that saved me, really. Like so many things saved me. But that got me in physical therapy and got me help. After that help, I think my total expenses for all my medical treatment, I think I did the math once, about $25,000 at 27, right? So here I am, 27. I've got, outside the 10,000, I've got like a $25,000 medical bill. I had brain surgery, everything. And it was my first time feeling so angry at everyone. And it was like, I couldn't believe the situation I was in. And now that I'm out of it, I feel a million times better, in a more hopeful place. But I think about that sense of injustice, and that your question at the end here, do you retract yourself and focus internally? At first I did, because that was the only way I could escape from the anger, is to you get overwhelmed by these really big things. You get really overwhelmed. And so at first I did retract inward and just move on with my life and focus on positive things. Because when you're looking at something at scale, like the US healthcare system, it's too big for you, like a single person. It's just literally too large, and it feels overwhelming. So it can be easy to retract yourself. Given some space and some time, I felt like a creature that got to go internally, heal myself, take care of myself, and then I got to kind of slowly emerge again. And now when I think about injustice or unjust systems, I'm able to take it in smaller bites and in smaller doses. And the way that I scale all those big problems down to myself is really thinking about what can I do as me, not just a single person as an abstract concept, but my name is Alex. This is where I am geographically. This is kind of my community I belong to. This is where I'm at in life. And this is what I'm up to. What are my strengths? What can I offer? What can I offer? Anything. And for me, what I can offer is education and resources, and I can kind of take care of people that are around me, physically around me, and in my digital community. And that's kind of how I've handled things. I think too, within big large systems of injustice, you can break it down into smaller components, which is very helpful. And I think one of the largest ones at this point, in a way that's ephemeral, is a kind of competing zeitgeist of differing literacy, differing levels of literacy. And one of the problems is I love all this critical theory. I like to read all these books. My favorite publisher, Verso Publishing, publishes a lot of radical texts. When I read these books, I love them, and I'm at the same time, how is this going to translate to anybody that isn't me? And I think one of the roles, it takes a certain person to write that literature, to write that theory, and offer these really novel ways of moving forward, that want to move society towards health and growth. It takes one person to do that, and it's a different set of skills to be able to synthesize that and translate it to somebody who is not you or not from your community, which is typically the role of an educator. So I think, what can I offer? I have skills in education. I can do that. I'm pretty good at reading, digesting it, summarizing it, and from a place of empathy, communicating to people who are not me or not necessarily ever gonna read that book. And that's something I've thought about lately, that's a little thing I can do, is talk about that work and in my own way, like a drop in a pond, add that discourse into the zeitgeist and do what I can. I hope that answers your question. It's a beefy question that I think deserves a robust answer. And I really love it. And it's also personal. So thank you for your question. I would love to make a video about that, actually. Because I have a lot to say on it. But thank you so much for your question. Okay. This next question, I think this is my last philosophical kind of question. Yes. Okay. Given that your videos are often about identity and the self, do you have any thoughts or feelings about the continuity of consciousness and how many modern tech bros are selling the idea of uploading ourselves to the cloud? And then this person gives the example of the Star Trek transporter problem. So that's the device that atomizes a person, like disintegrates them, and then they like reappear somewhere else. So it's how you can like quantumly like travel instantaneously. And then they ask also, do you have any favorite comics? So thank you for these questions. I really enjoyed that. And I think the Star Trek reference is a really good example of what would be involved in continuity of consciousness, because your body, your material body, is essentially being like copied. You just break down one body, but it's cloned almost in this way, and your consciousness is continued even though you've just been transported through time and space quantumly. The way that this works now is like, instead of dreaming about like being zapped, like instantly being transported from New York to Japan, it looks like wanting our consciousness to be housed in some kind of interface, in the idea of a cloud in a computer body. I think one of the it's tricky, because at a certain point, this technology, or any technology that creates like a kind of brain-computer interface, has radical possibilities, implications for people with physical disabilities, and it has radical implications for quality of life for people who might need an interface to play a video game, like a brain computer interface to play a video game, or you get to unlock this whole area of life for certain people. I'm thinking of Neuralink, and the promises of Neuralink. However, the other side of that is the lack of trust that I have in these kind of private companies that are clearly within a capitalist industrialist system to squeeze us like little sponges for data and money. I don't know about even the full possibility of being able to turn our consciousness into data points, which is what you would need. At this point, you can quote me, in 2024, I do not believe that you can separate consciousness from material. And I really believe that, even though I don't know how to reconcile that with my experiences of the supernatural. But at this point, because of my understanding of neuroscience, it seems very clear to me that the physical body has so much to do with mediating our conscious and unconscious life. And I don't, at this point, see evidence for any conscious activity taking place outside of the material. So I think, I don't know how you could upload your consciousness to the cloud unless you are talking about like one of those organoid computers which are on the way, in which you have organic matter powering a computer, and then maybe you could transport elements of your consciousness into what is essentially a real organic brain. It is a real brain. It's a real nervous system. And I kind of wonder if, almost by combining like digital technology and cloning, if you could achieve some kind of weird replica of you that could be, in that sense, eternal, or extend your natural life beyond the body you were originally born with. That's a nightmare to me. That is a nightmare to me. But I think maybe possible. But I don't think without physical, biological matter, you can replicate consciousness. And that's what I believe. And it does not match how I feel about the supernatural. So I have some work to do, thinking-wise. Okay, the second part of this question. Do you have any favorite comics? You know, I don't read comics, and I don't have any, I guess not traditional comics, but I like graphic novels. And I know those are very different things. But I actually like graphic novels. The king of graphic novels, to me, is Junji Ito. Is that how you pronounce his name? Incredible. A master of horror. This is kind of top tier for me. This is top tier stuff for me. These next questions are more life questions. So somebody asks, what are you up to in the UK? And then another question from somebody else. This may be a cheesy question, but how does the UK differ from the US? I want you to get into the nitty-gritty. Like, is there a culture around politics the way there's one in the US? That's very interesting. And then a third question, I'm going to group these together. Someone said, did you have any expectations about the UK that were confirmed? Or conversely, was there anything surprisingly different to what you thought it would be? Love your videos. Thank you so much. So, these are the UK questions. Okay, what am I up to in the UK? Like I said earlier too, for the next 2 years, I will be making videos, including longer, more careful essay videos, including the one about neuroplasticity. I want to be very careful with that video, and so I'm writing that currently and researching that currently. And it's going to be, this ASMR is very informal, and that's going to be very academically rigorous, because you have to be careful when you talk about the brain and possibilities, because there's some real traps that people can fall into. It can be a kind of a neurotic pathway to think that everything is in control and the power of your brain. I really think you gotta be careful with how you talk about that. So that's what I'm up to in the UK, is reading, researching, supporting my partner as she's getting her degree, and just buying crap I don't Also, how does the UK differ from the US? And like is there a culture on politics the way there's one in the US? Like more that deep stuff. I will say, visually, this is nothing like the US. In my experience, I've been like so used to political messaging that being here has almost felt like non-political, even though I know that's not true. But it feels so less visceral, and maybe, again, because I'm in a city. It's really hard to say. But for the most part, all my experiences are incredibly local. They're incredibly local. Like, okay, I have two things. The first is that I went to a church meeting with other people in my neighborhood. It was like an autumn party for everybody, and my partner and I went, and there was a raffle. And several people came up to us and, introduced themselves. And they said that raffles are like very British. And one lady, she was very cheeky. She leaned in and she was like, "The British don't know how to socialize without a raffle. We're so sorry. Please forgive us." And my girlfriend and I won 3 things in the raffle. I'll show you pictures. We won a radio, still in the package. It's gotta be from like the 2000s. We won a chewed up Land Rover, a water bottle. And we won these LED plug-in computer speakers that squirt water. And my impression so far of British social life, I find it so charming, so incredibly charming. But I find that social life is mediated here through a kind of kindness and a superficiality that I find really pleasant. Having come from America, we have neighbors knock on our door. I have no idea if even where I'm living in London is representative of anywhere else in London or the UK. It really feels so huge that anything I say might be completely irrelevant to England. I really don't know. And I'm just my own little micro experience is that, but I really couldn't tell you. I feel like I'm living somewhere huge, even though I know it's so much smaller than the US, and I feel like that just comes from being new. So I'm just very new. And as to if there's anything I thought about the UK that was confirmed, yes, it is just as quaint and cute and gothic and old as I thought it would be. It's lovely. Something else that was confirmed is snacking. I had the impression of the UK as being like a little snack place where people are eating little snacks like tea. And I thought, oh, everyone's just having tea and tea time and tea. But it's true. People are having tea. I didn't know that tea was a meal. Tea's like a meal. I didn't know that. But we've been having tea. Like, sandwiches or also sausage rolls. I love those things. I thought I was going to be vegan when I moved here. I was wrong. I am in the land of sausages. I'm helpless. What am I going to do? I gotta eat them. Anything different to what I thought it would be? No, I really don't. I had no idea really be like. And now I'm here and I still don't really know what's going on. I don't. All I know is that it looks very like European. I don't know. There's old buildings and uniforms and it has a royalness about it. Jolly old England. That hits real. Everyone is very nice and quaint and there's raffles and tea. It's like being at my grandma's house. It's great. On the other end, London seems incredibly international. I've heard more different languages and accents than I've ever heard living in LA. I wonder what New York is like. I wonder if they're similar. But I'm experiencing the quaint right up against like the modernity. And I'm experiencing sunshine, and I'm experiencing rain, and I'm experiencing, I don't know, I'm still stunned, truly. I can't make sense of it at this point. But hopefully, after 2 years, I will feel like I have some amount of authority, but as of now I have 0. And again, I don't know, I don't think I'm having an experience that would translate to like another person living in the opposite end of the city. I think I just live in a really quaint neighborhood. I can't tell. I really don't know. The last few questions. Cats or dogs? Thank you. That's a classic question. If it needs me, I need it. You know what I mean? I love a friendly dog. I love a friendly cat. The real theoretical answer is dogs. I love a dog. But I would take a needy, attention-seeking cat over an aloof, unfriendly dog any day. To me, they're both adorable. If it's needy and maybe like a little weird, I will enjoy it. But dogs, okay, weenie dogs, specifically dachshunds. Oh yeah, I would take a bad dachshund over most other animals. Also, pigeons, underrated animal. Okay. Do you like goth music or movies? Yes. What kind of music do you listen to? Thank you for this question. Do I like goth music or movies? Yes. Goth is my favorite genre of music. And unfortunately, I am highly conventional. And my favorite band of all time, ever, is The Cure. Favorite of all time. My favorite song is Callisto by Hoffen. I don't know how to pronounce it. But this band is incredible. As for movies, goth movies, I'm less familiar. I do like all the movies that goth people probably enjoy. Like Nightmare Before Christmas and Edward Scissorhands. But also a lot of period piece movies. And I happen to like sci-fi. I love Alien. I like Predator a lot. So my favorite movies are sci-fi. But goth really comes into play with music. I have a playlist on my Spotify. I'm pretty proud of it. It is called Goth Every Day. I'm proud of it because it has 19 saves, 123 songs, 9 hours. The first one is Callisto by Hoffen. But I also am a big fan of classic Clan of Cymox, and I really like Softkill. Not necessarily goth, but goth friendly and adjacent is Cleaners from Venus. my girlfriend and I chose our Wi-Fi name after a Cleaners from Venus song. But, okay. Alright. Last question. And I admittedly, I moved this one last. I didn't get this one last, but I moved it last, so. Do you want to do ASMR full time, or would you ever have a Patreon? Thank you so much for that question. I saved it for last for a reason. Do you want to do ASMR full time? I would love to do YouTube ASMR and regular YouTube. I would like to do it full time, but I also have other things like a full-time job that I love. So I would like to do ASMR full time and do something else full time, because I don't think I can do one thing. I'm not the type of person. So I would want to like teach on the side, like even just one class, or do something online, or keep working my job, which I love. And then, would you ever have a Patreon? Yes. Also, I know YouTube has community stuff now. Like, channel memberships, that's what it's called. YouTube has channel memberships. So would I ever have a Patreon? I would maybe do it if I was like a big channel. If I ever get to like the point where I can't see like the people that I know who comment on my videos, I feel like they're very individualistic. Like I get to know people. Like like if you comment, I will know if you've commented before, because my community is small and I read everything and reply to everything, and I get emails. I read my emails. If I ever got to the point where I literally could not find, like if I had a sea of comments and I could not find anybody, or have an easy time with my emails, maybe I would do it, just to like help tier out and separate communities within the bigger community. Otherwise, I can't see myself doing Patreon or like a channel membership thing in anywhere in the near future. I don't want anyone to pay for my content, because that's what advertisement is for. They run. I didn't know this. I feel so late to the party, but YouTube puts videos or ads on my videos anyway. Yeah. So if YouTube is putting ads on my videos, let me have a cut of that. Don't pay me. No one should have to subscribe to like a paid subscription to me. Because advertisers are making money off my data, my effort. It's weird. So anyway, no. I probably won't have a Patreon, and I probably won't do memberships unless I get really big, and then I'd have to figure something out. But right now, I'm very small, and I'm liking everything, and I'm pretty accessible. So you can comment or email me, and I feel like as long as that's working, that is working. So I saved the ASMR question for last. Yeah, I really love ASMR, and I'm thankful that I can do it while having a full-time job. It kind of keeps it feeling healthy and good. And then if there's anything that you ever want to see or you have questions about, I'm pretty good at checking my email. I'll check that like once every week and a half. They used to send letters. They used to you could send things by pigeon. You know what I mean? A week and a half. That's great. Okay. I think that's it for all these questions. Thank you so much for them. It was really special seeing all of them. And people actually used the form that I made, which is awesome. And I got some comments and I got some emails. So thank you so much to everyone who asked me a question. I love them all. And I'm really happy I got to spend this very early morning with you. This is a long video, I know. But it's kind of nice to make a really long one every now and again. So thank you so much again for being with me. I have 1,000 subscribers. I cannot believe it. And it's just very special to me. I'll say it a million times. ASMR is my favorite hobby. It's my favorite thing that I do. I love it. It is the best thing ever. So feel free to email me, engage, throw this stuff on while you work. I hope that wherever you are, day or night, that you are able to find some time to relax and have some peace in your day. So thank you so much again. I will see you